And welcome back, everyone, to yet another episode of It's Related.
I
promise. You guys know how much I love when it's full house. So I'm so excited to see these amazing, dope ladies here today. And when I tell you this is one of those conversations you need to be sat down with a pen and paper. Trust me, that's what needs to be happening. So I'm going to quickly introduce myself before I let our amazing guests introduce themselves. And before I even go into the conversation, I just want to say a big shout out to Fingo. Fingo have actually sponsored this episode today. And what I love about Fingo is their tagline. Their tagline is for Africa's ambitious.
Yes.
For Africa's ambitious. And the women you have here today are part of the women that are involved in the Fingo X EcoBank partnership. And so, in true line with, being Africa's ambitious, we've brought them to come and share their stories from corporate days, things we wish we knew back when we were 24 years old and upwards. And we'll be sharing vulnerably and honestly about just some of the things we've gathered back then till now. So my name is Sharon, aka Shazo. I'm 1/3 of It's Related, I Promise. And I'm super excited to be here. Over to you, Judith.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Judith Bogonko Juma. I need to say all three. I am a diehard ILUVIRIp fan. I think that's the first thing I will say.
Thank
I've
you.
listened to all the episodes, and it's so weird that there's a time I was listening to an episode, and I was like, "Oh my god, how would it be like to be with them?"
Oh my, and then here you
recording, and then I'm
are.
here. It's so divine.
Love that.
Thanks to Fingo. And so I am the Chief Commercial Officer at Fingo.
Mhm.
I take care of customers from getting to know about Fingo. So that's marketing, branding, creating awareness, all the way to once they're in, what their experience is like. So if they're unhappy and they get in touch, I have a team that sorts them out 24/7. If they have a question, if they have a suggestion for something new they want to see, that's my team that handles. And then when we have like new products we want to come up with, thinking about how we'll create the awareness, how we'll communicate, how we'll make sure it's actually meeting their needs.
Yeah.
And I think easily I have the best role because I get to interact with customers all the time and just get to know what they want and make sure that that is sorted. And other than that, I am a mother of 2 beautiful kids
Cute.
and wife of 1. Please.
Important to
Yes,
say.
very
Wife of
important.
one.
Yes, and I'm happy to be here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And what about you, Jane?
Jane Chelagat, so Chelagat with a J. In my community, we don't have J. Let's just get that out.
Okay.
So we say things like Chuis, Changshon, Changcha, Chastis. So please, Jane Chelagat with a J.
Chen.
Don't go
Chen
there.
Chelagat.
I had no plans to send my greetings to my villagers in Kapsaret, but because they've said it, Mimi wenu. So anyways, I'm the director for consumer banking. I work for EcoBank, the truest Pan-African bank where we do better things the better
Nice.
way for Africa. I'm excited to be here. What's my relationship with Fingo? I was their first sponsor. Like I fell in love with Fingo from the
Nice.
beginning, met this gentleman and this lady.
Yeah.
I looked at their concept and I said, why not? So that's why I'm here.
Amazing. But you're also here to give us lessons that you wish you
yes.
knew when you were 24.
Of course, that's the whole idea.
Literally.
Judith is kind of looking at me like I need to talk about my marital status, the children, all that. So let's
Give us
just
the
get
tea.
this
Give us
out
the
of
tea.
the way. I'm a
you?
mother of many,
Uh-huh.
very, very many. A diehard Christian actually as well.
Nice.
So I'm not limiting to the number of kids I should be saying here. But currently, my 4th born is an acting last born.
I like
So there's
An
room
acting
for
last
more.
born.
Acting last born.
Mm.
That position is up for grabs. Am I married yet? Kind of working towards it. So it's a work in progress.
Mhm.
Yeah, it should work. It should work.
It
Very
should
the
work.
progress should close.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, is it an aspiration? Maybe
We're
not.
highly ambitious towards that area. And we'll talk about it actually. Things that we
Okay.
needed to have done earlier.
Yeah.
And why at this time that's one of the things I'm working toward.
I love it.
Even I
Yeah.
didn't know that, so
Now you
I'm
know.
learning.
All right, Jules.
First of all, I'm just so excited.
I know,
I feel like
too.
this is going to be such an enriching conversation.
Yeah.
To me, this kind of chats, because obviously we had some conversations prior to this episode,
Mm.
this for me is like the heart of ILUVIRIp. talking to women who have been there before us or can teach us something from a different space. And yeah, welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
My name is Jules, for those who don't know. You can find me on Instagram at Jules_her. That is Jules, Jules, not Jules. And you can also reach me on or find me on my other podcast, So This Is Love, which is available on Spotify, just like this one, or wherever you find your podcasts.
Amazing.
Nice.
So we have so much to get through. So girls, I'll encourage you for what caught your attention. We keep it quick, because we
Yeah,
need to get to
yeah.
the meat of the other conversation, which will be a long one. So in true RIP fashion, what caught your attention, Judith? Let's start with you.
This week.
Yeah, this week or recently.
Recently.
Yeah.
So I've been reading novels, like
Mhm.
story novels, most of this year. And usually I'm a self-help girly. But I took a break and I was like, let me read novels. And the last novel I read left me with such a hangover that I wasn't ready to start another one. And there's this book called Diary of a CEO that I got last year.
Is it based on the podcast?
It
Yes.
is.
Oh,
Yeah. So
okay.
he's written a book
Okay.
that launched last year.
Mm.
And I got it immediately because I listened to the podcast, but I didn't start reading.
Mm.
And so I was like, but then I have this book. Let me read. And chapter 1. As you know, those ones you read and then you pause.
It had you at hello.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, I need to process, because he talks about these 5 buckets that you need to fill in life in a certain order. And the first one is who you are. It's like who you are. Like, first of all, you need to know who you are. And then there's what you know, which is the knowledge that you have. It's what you can do, right? Those are the skills that you have. And then who you know, the networks that you have. And then there's 2 others, which are around like the resources that you have. What do you have? And then there's like your reputation, what the world knows about you. And why I loved this is because he emphasizes filling in those buckets in order, especially when you're younger, right? Focusing on what you know, which is your knowledge, and putting time to generate more knowledge and taking opportunities that expose you to more knowledge.
Right.
And then what you know, which is now the skills that you have. And as I read that, I was just like, oh my God, it ties in with what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Just that focus and just that reminder of taking up opportunities, because there's something that came up and I was like, I'm going to take this because it will expose me to different challenges.
Yeah.
And so reading that, it's like just confirmation after confirmation after confirmation.
Yeah.
So if you're a reader, please pick up that book.
Diary of a
It's
CEO.
incredible. Yes.
Amazing. What about you? Chen Chalakat.
I know you're doing really well.
Chin.
You've killed both the
I
two,
tried.
the J's. You've massacred them really well. So the first J is English.
Yeah.
So it has to be Jane.
Jane
But the Che,
Chalakat.
kill it. Kill that
Huh.
thing. So anyway, so what's my key, what started my thinking this morning actually is when we were having a tete-a-tete out there and we were talking about some crime. We watched a little clip on some crime. Boda guys, the riders actually, the motorbike riders that give people taxi lifts and then turn out to be rogue. And we were talking about how it all turns out. And we said, what happens that somebody trusted you and then you just spin it and hurt them?
Yeah.
So we went into conscience and good judgment. We said, like, there's a spectrum to conscience. There's a soft divine conscience and it goes all the way to a seared conscience. So they don't even think about it. If it's seared, it's like your tongue has been worked on by hot tea over time that you don't even feel like it's burning anymore. So they just commit it without much thought, as opposed to somebody else who'll have a more godly conscience and hinder themselves or hold back from spilling another human's blood. So that's exactly what we were talking about. Conscience and how seared is your conscience and how does it influence good judgment? And what is good judgment after
What is
all?
good judgment?
Because it's as robust as it can get depending on how your conscience is.
Wow, seared conscience. I don't know that I've ever thought about how seared my conscience is. Yeah.
It's related to how your tongue is. How hot should your tea be? So like, actually the example we discussed with one of my friends in the room is my mom would say, that tea is not hot enough. Like, I want it piping hot from the pot. And you're thinking, how did she know? I just took 5 minutes before I put it there. So their tongue is so, like, they want it so hot because they don't feel lukewarm anymore. While to a child, you actually have to cool it.
Yeah.
For it to be just right. Otherwise, it's too hot.
Yeah.
So that's the same spectrum therein.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Jules?
Yeah, what's got my attention? I was having a conversation recently with, let me just say, an acquaintance, and we were talking about an individual who we noticed seems to be spiraling, a man, after a breakup. And this is a man who is not married, but he was dating somebody for a long time, and they broke up. We were just like, "Hey, is this guy okay?" And it just occurred to me how when men would come out and say stuff like, now we are focusing too much on the girl child, I would go like, but we need that time because it has never been on us. But I've started to worry a little bit about the man, not because the girl child is being focused on. I think the girl child needs to have this moment. And even when Judith is here speaking and you're speaking, I'm just like, wow, women are really,
We're killing it.
we are really killing it, and we're really empowering ourselves and enriching ourselves, with the books that we're reading and information that we're absorbing. But anyways, I just realized there's a gap for men, in the sense that men don't build community to provide emotional support. They might build community for work, for drinks, for hobbies, rally driving, I don't know, fishing, whatever. But they don't know how to lean on
For
each
emotional
other
support,
when
things are bad.
things are bad for them on an emotional front. I'm not saying all men, but it's just the way it is. That's why you hear some people say stuff like, "Hey, a man can be alone. If the wife dies, he has to get somebody else," Or when a woman is going through a breakup, the first thing she does is rally up her friends, like, "Man, I'm really going through it. Can we hang out?" That kind of thing. And then I also remembered there's a campaign that I saw, like a reel or something. It was a campaign for mental health for men. I don't know if you guys have seen it. The one
Are they
where
in a stadium
they're
somewhere?
in a stadium, and there's these two guys,
It's
and you can
heartbreaking.
see one of them is visibly, he's going through it. Yes. But the catch was the guy who we thought was distraught, because it was two guys. One looked like he was not okay, so it's like it's showing a series of them different football games, and every time this guy's just like, "Yeah, I'm okay, I'm okay," and then at the end, this is the guy, it's one of the guys in a football game, but it's not the guy who was not okay. It's the one who was jolly and like, "Hey, go," you know what I mean? And it just reminded that when I was talking about this guy, I was just like, man, as in, men don't, I don't know how y'all deal with this. You know what I mean? So yes, I think that's what caught my attention. This whole thing where a man will lock himself in the house and drink, work from home, drink. You only see him maybe going to get more drinks. You know what I mean? Because they've not built a community for emotional support.
Very.
I feel like that's an issue, because if I
Yes,
have a
it is.
son, like, I want him to know that he can come back and talk to me or talk to dad. You know what I mean?
A place to ventilate.
Yes. We've not built that for men. Men don't go and say, "Man, I'm going through it." It's like, let's go for a drink. Let's go for a drink. So it's masking. Lose business. Let's go drink. Da, da, da. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
That's
That's deep.
Men talk.
Yeah.
And
talk.
yeah, not all podcasts
create
for men
those
need to be
spaces.
masculine, and you can talk about
These
emotions.
charades.
It's not, you're not going to be less of a man,
Yeah.
if you touch into your emotions and say things are tough, man. This girl broke my heart, or I feel like I'm not a man because I don't have the house and the car. And, like, talk about it a lot, please.
Like, normalize it.
Yeah.
Challenges society, even challenges that,
Yeah.
there's this simping. Like, you're told, oh, now you're simping.
Now you're simping.
which
It's
is
okay.
sad. Yeah.
When I was younger, if I saw a simp, I'd be like, he's a simp. But that was the immature Julia.
Yeah.
Now a man who's in touch with his feelings, I'm like,
It's kind of hot.
that's the man I
Sure.
would date,
It's actually
because
very-
I don't have to feel like I'm breaking through a brick wall to
Yeah.
emotionally connect with somebody because
Sure.
they're the nigga. Apana. That I don't want it anymore.
I'm with you.
Knowing us, we can go on and on with this segment, but I'm going to share mine, then we'll move into the conversation for today. Mine is, I don't want to say it's not deep. It's deep, actually. It's deep because it's something, it was a moment I was very proud of, literally happened like 20 minutes ago. So I was on a call with a potential like business partnership. for some work that I do in the travel space. And it's I don't know if I can share, but it's basically a government of an East African country.
Mhm.
And that was the meeting I was having.
Nice.
And we get on the call, I'm pitching what I'm pitching. And it's so funny because literally yesterday when we were recording, or the day before yesterday, we were recording our podcast. And what caught my attention was the fact that I love when I get into a business meeting
Nice.
and we talk, we discuss business. And then 5 minutes in, or like 10 minutes later, they're like, oh, by the way, I love your podcast. That episode, da, 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 da. And I'm always
Nice.
like, oh my God, it's so nice to know that not only are we going in business together, but like, you know, we have that in common, that you listen to the podcast and like you understand who I am over and
Yeah.
above whatever.
Yeah.
So this happened again. We're on this call. It's a government agency in another East African country. I've pitched, and she's just like, by the way, I love your podcast. I was gobsmacked because I was just like, you know, it's so nice to see that our content, you know, resonates across Kenya, across
Love it.
Africa. And it was such a validating moment. Like I literally was telling Jules, because I met Jules, we were upstairs just getting changed, and I was like, babe, like we've got community uko,
All over.
like all
Yeah.
over. And like that's so exciting. It was very exciting for me. And yeah, I just wanted to appreciate our audiences that are in East Africa. It's an East African country. And just thank you. Thank you so much for supporting our content. Okay, now guys, we need to get into the meat of the
conversation.
conversation today, because I know there's a lot we want to
Awesome.
share. But before we share that, I just want to shout out Zia Africa. I'm wearing a dress from Zia Africa, and honestly, I freaking love your clothes. Like this was my first time wearing them as part of this like
Yes.
IRIP partnership. And normally I'm very skeptical about my clothes, but I'm obsessed. I want to buy all 5 of them that were sent to my house. So thank you for dressing me today. Much appreciated. As we're talking about our sponsors, Judith, please, for those who might not be familiar with Fingo, and if you missed that episode on Fingo, please go check it out actually after you watch this one. But please tell people what Fingo is very briefly in case they missed the previous episode.
Okay, so like Sharon has said, if you missed the episode, please make sure you watch it.
Yeah.
It's the origin story from our co-founders. And so if you're listening for the first time, Fingo Africa is a digital bank for youth.
Mm-hmm.
And we have partnered with EcoBank, which is the largest, what did you say?
Pan-African
Pan-African Bank.
There's another word you used.
Footprint Bank? No.
What did I say?
The most exciting, what? There's a word you used.
A
I was
better
trying
way.
to remember. Yeah,
For
something
best,
like that.
the true Pan-African
True
bank.
Pan-African
Yes.
Thank
Bank.
you.
Hey,
The
Gloria, you're
true-
paying attention. Index 1.
Yeah, she's Index 1. Yeah, so the True Pan-African Bank, that's across like 33 countries.
Yeah.
And we have partnered with them to bring solutions to the youth, just to make sure that by the time you're starting banking, your banking journey, your financial services journey, you have a partner that gets you, that understands you, that brings you a solution that is relevant to you, that makes sense to you. And so what is available is, first of all, you're able to open a bank at the comfort of your home. And all you need is just your national ID. And within a few minutes, you're able to open the bank account. Within 4 minutes, on average, you're able to open an account. And once you have your account open, you're able to access a number of services. So there's your typical banking where you have your current account. You can deposit money, you can transact, you can send to friends, and then you're able to save very easily, and very soon you'll be able to earn interest on your savings. I'm sure actually by the time this goes live, any savings that you have on Fingo will be able to earn you interest, average of about 15%, 14%, which is really good. And then there's cards. So if you're an online person where you shop online or you buy things online, then you're able to just get a virtual card where you can put in those details specific to the transaction that you want to do, and you're able to do that very easily within a few minutes. And lastly, we work with you because we understand that financial literacy is not common to everyone. And a lot of young people are like, I will just do what my friend is doing, or I'll just do what my parents have told me to do. But what we're trying to do is, again, create financial literacy, show you what you can do with your money, how you can grow your money, how you can even start business and just, move that money in and track your expenses, get analytics. And so basically, as a youth, you want to be on Fingo, because we work with you, we listen to you, we give you the solutions that you ask for, and basically we make sure that you grow as you learn about finances more.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the this Fingo is really, for me at least, really important like infrastructure and tool. And I was super excited when we did our collaboration because the idea of just setting up a bank account in a matter of seconds
Yeah.
is wild to me. But that's actually not where we're here to talk to you today. I mean, over and above that, we just really wanted to share our experience in corporate Kenya, some of us corporate other places, but just, navigating a career in corporate takes a lot of grit, a lot of resilience, and we all happen to have had that experience in our lives. Some of us more than others, and we just thought let's talk about it as girlies and share notes. Our audience are a little bit younger, so they're around 24 to maybe 32 there. And so we just wanted to share some lessons that we've learned over the years. And if you guys can allow me to go first, then we'll just kind of go around and share with one another.
Okay.
So this might come across a bit controversial. But for me, when I started in corporate, specifically when I started working for an international company, and maybe this is why my point is as such, but I think it's so important if you work in an international company to have a mentor who is a man who is white.
Interesting.
Because the audacity of a white man is like nothing I've seen before. Truly, truly, truly. Like they are so confident, so, like audacious that I think sometimes, like for me, the amount of time I spent with that guy just under his mentorship and under his wings, till this day I can track back and say, for sure, everything I learned in terms of how to handle myself in a room, how to present myself, how to believe in, sometimes believing my own bullshit. Like in that moment, I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this? But I'm like, what would insert name here? What would he do? How would he show up in this meeting? How would he present this, whatever? So I feel like, as much as this might be an unpopular opinion, if you have access to a mentor who is a man and is white, I think those are the kind of people that you should kind of surround yourself with, because the way they occupy space, they take up space like it's theirs. Like they know this is my space. So that I found was very beneficial. So I'm curious, have you had that experience like with someone, a guy of a different race that you felt, has been very monumental? Or even what are some of the things you guys have learned from corporate back in the day?
Yeah, so for me, I agree with you 100%, just that I've not been in a space where it was a white man. But mine, like the first one I wanted to share was basically when, like with my first job,
Yeah.
a new boss came in who was a man, and my previous boss was a lady.
Yeah.
And so he comes in and he had all these incredible ideas. He calls us for a meeting and he's like, I want to do this and I want to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do the other. And in my head, I was just like, oh, that's ambitious, right? Like the woman was very safe, which is okay, right? It was safe. It's let's fix what we have. This other one was such a dreamer. And I was just like, the way it lights a fire in your belly.
Yeah.
And immediately after the meeting, I just went up to him and I was like, I want to be a part of that. I want to help you in whatever capacity to bring that to life. And he was impressed that I took that step.
Yeah.
He did not see it coming. And he was like, okay, I will walk with you and I will journey with you. And so he was like your white man now there, where he was my sponsor. In the right
real
sense
term
of the word, please. But the person who basically goes ahead, he will challenge me, he will, give me, a task and be like, oh, I saw this thing. I think you should try it, or I think you should, run with this and figure it out and tell me if you have questions. And that just gave me such confidence.
Yeah.
Because then whatever I ended up learning opened many other doors for me in terms of my subsequent jobs and what have you. And he was the one who was there, like in the rooms I was not in.
Yeah.
He's the one who would push for promote this
For
girl.
you to,
Let's give her this budget for this idea that she has. Let's give her a team to work with.
Yeah, just someone rallying
that
behind
trust,
you. Yeah.
It just really set me up.
Cool.
So I agree. If you do have a mentor who can speak for you in spaces you're not in, or even who's audacious like that, and you can pick things from them, definitely hold on.
There we go.
Yeah.
What about you, Jade? I'm sure there's a treasure trove of lessons. Because just for context, how many years in corporate have you had?
bordering 22 years now.
Wow.
So pretty
Nice.
seasoned.
Yeah.
Makeup does work. Good exercise, good food, and
And
some
minding your
sleep.
business.
Yes, and minding your own
Genetics.
business. Oh yes. So it does work. So clearly. So I would spin it a bit. Based on the experience, had you not brought the experience part, maybe I would have spoken a lot more differently. Now that we know I've longer tenure than most of the people in the room, I would say yes. So I've been privileged to have 3 solid male mentors.
Nice.
And what's distinct, as you mentioned, the one that one was white, so you picked the race card. I would say mine, yes, I have one who's Indian, but British bred.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've kept this guy as a mentor, I think, from 2007 till now. We actually have crossed the lines. We're now friendters. And friendters, so that's
Ooh.
done.
That's a new
And
one.
how it all picked up is how I liked and how I got drawn to his type of mentorship is that he's actually very well read, well traveled, and outspoken. And to be honest, not impressed by you. And that was attractive for me because then your mentor must be somebody who's pulling you out somewhere upward, or sharpening you in a way, or removing something out of you and imparting some good things in you. Then I had another one, 14 years in my journey, very well read, very well traveled, solid Kenyan, lives abroad. Actually, I think has lived abroad most of the time. That person also a gentleman of worth his salt, well traveled, deep, would call you out on your nonsense and tell you this you
Yeah.
goofed.
Yeah.
So they also helped me grow. Whenever I wanted to navigate corners, I could consult either, and it works really well. I also had another one who we didn't last for long because this particular one was bossy. So I didn't feel the safety to be me around them. I always felt like I have to be showing track records.
Wow.
So I wasn't given an opportunity to be vulnerable and just say this I didn't do, or this is too much for me. Or while the other two gave me that leeway, this particular one was just so firm. It became too academic for my liking. We didn't last, I think, 3 years. I really tried my best to accommodate it, but we remain friends today. I'm grateful for what I picked along the way, but it didn't work. As long as the other two still remain very, very close friends. Actually, with both we've broken the barriers. We are not mentor mentee anymore. We are frienders. I could text them now, even if they're in their both of them are CEOs right now for multinational institutions. They'll pick my call, or they'll call me back today,
Right.
not tomorrow, but today. They'll say, Chela, what do you want? I'm coming back to you on 1, 2, 3, 4. Send me a voice note. I'll come. They are that available. But to another twist, I've also found 2 other ladies in my journey that have later on given me balance. So while the truth is they wouldn't have been good mentors for me earlier on,
Okay.
because they were managing their trunks, family, divorce,
Yeah.
multiple other things. They didn't have the space to pick a light, because it's literally a mentor is somebody who adopts a light and makes it shine. So these particular ones had their own things, and the earlier stages of a woman's career is just different. So
It really
much
is.
later,
Yeah.
they are solid. They've covered their wheel of life is pretty balanced. There are people I can go into their houses right now. You'll have to schedule it nonetheless, because maybe the one is golfing, one is very good at squash. See, if
I
they
love that
don't
that's
have
the
time.
lifestyle.
know.
Yeah,
Squashing,
even
playing golf.
exactly. So if
I
they don't
love
have
it.
time for you, they'll tell you, my friend, is it burning? Is
Yeah.
anybody bleeding?
Death.
If nobody is bleeding, can I see you next week Tuesday? And you're
Yeah.
thinking, I want to tell you now. So they start giving you balance, and I've gotten a lot from these 2 women. They happen to be friends, but each of them is a mentor to me in different ways. They've brought the essence of balance, because you can really grow so fast as a woman, but highly siloed, and many other things in your life don't really work. But the men that I was telling you about, the 3, they have gaps. They are not as balanced as the women that I have. Yeah, and I think they know that. If they would listen to this podcast, they say, did you tell them that? So I know there are gaps. So the women are more all-rounded
Yeah.
as opposed to the ladies. So back to your point, Sharon, you then need to think at what stage of your career or life
Mm.
are you at, and who is not impressed by you?
Mhm.
Who are you impressed with, and what you want to do?
Yeah.
Once you pick the person you want to admire or someone you can learn something from, pick them as a mentor upon request. If you get the card, yes, make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Whether they are English, British, whatever you want to call it, even Maasai, please proceed
Yeah.
and make the best of that opportunity, be they female or be they
Yeah.
male.
Yeah. What about you, Jules? What's a lesson you wish you knew when you were in your
In fact, I just wanted to touch on that female mentor
Mhm,
thing
Yeah.
because I feel like what it's signifying is that we should not look for male mentors. I think we need to break that down, what it really means. And Sharon, you can correct me in why you're calling it an unpopular opinion, because now we're going to it might now make it look like women are not good enough to be mentors. So are you trying to say it's because that in the corporate world it's a man's world, so it's better to have a female mentor? I mean, sorry,
a
a male
male?
a male mentor.
It's yeah.
Because there are women out there who are doing big things. So is it to say, okay, because it's a man's world, let's call a spade a
It's
spade?
more
As a woman
yeah.
who is on the come up,
Mm.
look for a male mentor so that when you're at the top, you can pull up other women, or
It's
what
more
is the...
like the genesis was more because I think sometimes and where I was saying specifically a white male mentor, and I think you can have as many mentors as mentors want to have you. So it's not that you have one mentor and that's it. To just clarify that. But why I was specifically saying a white male mentor is because sometimes those guys are hard to approach for mentorship because you don't see an immediate match or like connection. Like you wouldn't, at least for me when I was younger, I didn't see why someone so different from me would want to mentor me. Whereas I think sometimes with women, it's easier to gravitate towards a conversation around mentorship. Like it's easier to see the lady with the corner office as a woman and say, "Can you mentor me?" It's easy to see perhaps a Kenyan guy who's a CEO and say, "Can you mentor me?" But I felt like back then, I don't know whether it was internalized, I don't know, racism, but I just wouldn't feel confident to tell an a white guy at the office who's senior, can you mentor me? Like it was never in my vocabulary at all. Like I was so shy and like, what could we possibly have in common here? And
So how
so
did you do it? Or did they offer?
it
Did you
just
ask?
happened because of working together on a project, and
Oh.
as you, which I like what you've said about adopting a light. I felt like he saw that they have something special,
Oh.
and then started giving me a little bit more work, putting me on certain projects. This was at the BBC because obviously the BBC is an international organization, so there was a lot of white, editors and senior people. So I think also in my context, the white the white male leader was a very prominent fixture in our world, and a lot of people I felt were not taking that opportunity to be mentored by them because there's a lot of othering. So that's I hope that answers your question. But
Yeah, because I have a female mentor,
mm,
and I only have one mentor because
mm,
I struggled with mentorship. I don't know where to go. Like,
mm.
do I ask Judith, hi? I mean, sorry, do I ask
Jade,
Jade,
can you be my
hi,
mentor?
can you be my mentor?
Yes.
I just got into the space because everywhere I was standing is like, my mentor, my mentor. I'm like, so maybe I need a mentor. And for me, having a male mentor would work because maybe the field I'm entering, I can see is male dominated. So for me to be like a cheat code, and I'd be like, okay, I still want a female mentor
For
because
sure.
females,
They
I don't
get
want to
it.
put
They
down
get it.
women.
Yeah,
Women
very
can
balanced.
get it. Yeah,
be, like
yeah.
you've said,
And two
For
things can be true also.
yes,
know?
but I wouldn't want to say like if you're looking for mentorship as a woman, look for a male mentor,
I would agree.
or rather I would ask why. What am I
Mm.
benefiting? Because I get it. Like I would be like, let me look for a man because this space, I need a man in my corner because when I'm speaking, they will not listen to me the way they would listen to a man. It is the truth. Whether even if it's a man who is a subordinate to you, there's a way they look at you. So my female mentor, there's a day I was asking her something about, should I make this decision? Should I, like, I'm not feeling like it's going to, like it's not, I don't know. I was confused about a very important decision. And she told me, she's like, Julia, when you come to a crossroads like this, you have to think like a man. Because a
Interesting.
guy who wants that thing is not
Would
going to
go for
think
it.
twice.
Yeah.
You're just thinking, okay, how is this going to affect this? How is it going to? So if you're trying to, depending on what your financial position is, what your own individual goals are for your career, there are times you have to switch because the space you're in is male dominated, and they might not be compassionate to that thing.
True.
Something I wish I knew when I was younger, looking back, is to trust my instinct. And not listen to, because when it comes to big life decisions, usually those are the hardest things for me to do. I can't just be like, okay, fine, we're starting a podcast, I'm quitting. Like I grapple with it for like years. So even just as simple as what do I want to do as a degree, ish, man, I wasn't sleeping. I'm like, so what do I do? What do I do? Do I like this? Da, 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 da. One thing I knew since I was a child is that I was a creative. Sharon knew she wanted to be a journalist from the time she was like a kid. I had no ambitions. Like I was like, I want to be a pediatrician. I want to be a dancer. I want to be like, I wasn't like hell bent on one thing. But the one thing I always knew is that I loved art. I loved, creativity, all these things. But I didn't have any mentors. I could not see a path to success based on my interests. So what I would do is I would ask, my dad, what should I do? Or I ask my mom, what do you think I should do? Or I look at what my friends are doing. Like I look at the friends who got the same grade as me, what were A.
Nice.
Yeah, I would be like, oh, these guys are getting into med. This one is doing aviation. So that's where I need to go. I would not ask myself. So other than trusting my instinct, I wish I could trust my instinct, and I wish children were empowered more in that decision making. You know what I mean? Like that's what was lacking. So me, I just went with the flow, and now I'm like, man, I should have done something else. I still believe everything has turned out the way it's supposed to be. But I'm just saying, if
if
I
you
could
knew
go
back
back,
then,
for
that's what you would
sure, I would
say.
get into a career that was different from what I started in.
Yeah. Okay. Any more for you, Judith? What other lessons have you? Things you wish you knew when you were 24 in corporate?
Network more.
Mm.
Network more, man. As in, if you can see a clear difference between people who know people and now if you're like just in a bubble, because even based on what you're saying, Julia, just that being able to know people in different spaces, be curious about it, have different conversations, that then feeds in the bucket of who you know.
That's
right?
so true. Yeah.
And especially when you don't need them. It's knowledge, it is interacting, it's curiosity, it's conversations, it's connection. And then you never know when then
That's the
you
thing.
will end
You
up.
never know.
Yeah, you never
In
know.
fact, even to add to your point, and not to interrupt, it's just I know I'll forget. I feel like when you're younger, back to even to almost contradict my own point on mentorship, I feel like we don't spend as much time networking sideways. We're just always thinking, I'm going to network upwards. But like honestly now, especially when I got laid off recently and like I've been rebuilding my confidence, a lot of the people I've been going in business with, doing stuff with, are my peers.
Nice.
Like all those like quote unquote wakubas that I knew that I used to work with and work for. It's not that easy, but like the friends that are my peers and we're on the same level, whatever that means, it's just those are the ones who have held me and have pushed me into this new beautiful phase that I'm in professionally. And it's because these were relationships that I felt I really cultivated sideways. So yeah, I think that's such a good point about like
how would networking look for a 25-year-old?
So yes, actually I was going to say that. So depending on the spaces that you're in, there's a lot of either you'll hear there's this event happening or maybe there's a program that is running. There's a lady actually who was telling me a lot of the networks she got was from programs she did. Right. So you see, there's this 3-month program. Maybe it's sponsored. What you need to do is apply and get in, and it's a business program. So you go in, you do the program, you meet another 30 people, and sometimes it's online, right? You meet these 30 people, you've interacted, so they know you from that perspective. And then by the time you leave, you're each going to different spaces, but then that connection is already there and they already know you. Or if there's events that are happening, this corporate, so you'll find there's a lot of mixers being held nowadays. So you'll be told there's this thing happening depending on the space you're in. Like right now, just because of the space I'm in, you'll hear there's some investors around and they're throwing this thing and it's open. Can you come in? So being able to know the first person, the second person, and then getting to ask them, hey, is there anything going on that you know about that I can participate in? But the easiest and the lowest hanging fruit is honestly just checking what is happening online, what events are there. If you have the money, whenever possible, then there's a cost attached to it, being able to pay and go in and then just interact. Just interact. And you start there, you sign up, and then you keep getting emails. And you say, oh, invitation for this, invitation for this, invitation for the other. And it's very hard, especially if you're an introvert, it's very hard to go there and start, just interacting with
even
people.
for extroverts.
Or even for
At
extroverts.
24,
Okay.
me, I was,
at 24, it's true, because you don't
just
know.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
don't know what you're going to
I don't
say.
know what,
Yeah. So what I have found is there's a lot of resources online that tell you go ask, like start with these 2 questions.
Yeah, because that's always the hard part.
Yes, the starting.
Getting the icebreaker.
The starting.
Yeah.
And nowadays I noticed.
I always go for the outfit. I'm like, oh my God, I love your dress. So
You
you
see?
did like,
Also,
I always start, that's why I start.
pockets.
Yeah, then now you go,
know,
okay,
I got it.
so.
Yeah. And I've realized recently a lot of people don't want to say what they do. So it's like there's 3 different places I've been to where you tell someone, hey, I'm Judith, I do this. What do you do? And they're like, no, it's not my work that defines me. Like, I want to talk about something else.
Welcome to the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
You know what Fingo
Yeah,
needs to do, I think, on that networking thing, is to create spaces where people can interact.
Yeah.
Because it's a nice thing to say, network more. But me at 2024, my networking is my WhatsApp group, my girls. So how do I expand?
Yeah.
I only got to meet new people through my work.
Yes,
Through my the first job I had, those networks are still impacting my life now.
Love it.
So, I'm just imagining there's somebody who is watching, even if they're older than that, 24, 25, somebody who is in their 30s and they're like in a new space, like now Sharon, who has had to rebuild. These are things that they can pick up. How do you network? Where do you there's no place called networking from 8 to 4.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do you do it? Those are the things I think we need to figure out.
Yeah.
2 things come to mind. I don't want to lose Julia's first point on transitory career choices. I'll come back to that. But to networking, how would I call it? The typical ambivert. So I come across as an extrovert, but to be honest, primarily I'm an introvert. I actually enjoy my own company, want everybody out of the room, but I can be left alone for a long time. So I'll check into my apartment, let's say on Friday, and I will not come out until Monday.
What?
And I'm really fine. And
that
all
sounds
y'all
like my
are
worst
nagging.
nightmare.
Exactly.
I'm just like,
So I
maybe
know.
2 hours.
Yeah,
So like, plan
then
no,
come
no,
before
forever.
like Jules.
Forever. And we are really fine.
Where are you?
So, yeah, and it didn't start now. So for a long time. So let's go back to networking. So for me, how it works, just like she said, for somebody who's ambiverted, I would deliberately pick out events or functions that I want to be at. And I deliberately say I want to meet 1, 2, or even if I'm not deliberate about it, whoever I meet, I really intensify my connection with them, make it deep and make value out of it. It still remains something I do today. All my connections, I have an impact. I deliberately want to impact their lives. And after some time, you see, they also rub off something onto mine. And that's how my networks have grown. Not too big, very lean, but very deep. Very, very deep. And they stay for long. So you can imagine taking that into corporate world, like she said, because considering my kind of personality, I look like I'm out there, but am I really? I'll be the one first in the party, look loudest, do something interesting, and quickly you think I've taken a bathroom break. All you care about, I'm asleep.
Irish exit.
So whenever those events came, just like her, I would pick someone. We built something interesting right there, and I would follow up, and they've remained very, very deep connections to date.
Yeah.
But I don't want to lose her earlier point because I'm actually also very creative. Ignore the banking thing.
Yeah.
Just for now.
I'm curious to know how you ended up where you ended up and is this something that you wanted to do?
Yeah.
Are you happy that you're here? Would
Very
you
Would you
change
rather-
everything?
yeah.
You know, what
Yes.
does
If
that
you
look
were
like?
When I looked at you, I said, kindred spirit. So I'm actually by heart an artist.
I love
Very
that.
creative, abstract painter.
Oh,
I've studied Van
Wow.
Gogh, Picasso,
What?
the Da Vinci, the entire
No way.
banking.
Did
the
you do art in
Pan-African
high
Bank.
school?
Yes, I did.
So you,
And
we
I
did a lot of
studied
art
fine art.
history. Yes,
Exactly. And I
yes,
did
Oh,
fine art.
yes.
nice.
And I loved to draw. I loved to paint. I loved to
I love
do
it, the
gardening.
artistic banker.
I know.
Imagine.
So
So
Love
my-
it.
my dream was really just like you. I'm loving her. I think we should just be friends.
There
I
you go.
honestly
I
grew
love
up
that.
without knowing what I want to do. It was
Yeah.
freelance. I had the privilege of being given the liberty to do what I want.
Mm.
So I always chose what I wanted to do. I would finish, pick petals, crush, make paint out of them,
Oh,
Wow.
put it on fabric, and I saw it, and my mom was so happy about it, and we grew up like that. So I did pure sciences, and I loved it. So I also excelled in sciences really well. So I was thinking maybe I should be
A
in
doctor.
Chiromo.
Yes.
But my bro leaned towards the zoology,
Medicine.
Yeah.
zoology and botany, zoology and
Mhm.
chemistry, physics, that kind.
Yeah.
I did pures, then finished. Then I was like, no, I think that's not me. A bit of nat geo, so I was like, no, these animals are a bit rough. So I kind of moved to my creative side. I started painting them, drawing them,
Nice.
Yeah.
and I loved bird watching, lone ranger kind of activity. Ended up leaning towards fine art, drawing and design, and I was aiming for interior design. But it
Mm.
wasn't at the time I was graduating. It wasn't like really here.
It wasn't a thing.
It wasn't. So I would have
Oh.
either had to go with Triad or the kind of big architectural firms
Mm.
and sit there like a little person, and I didn't my ego really. So what happened is that then banks come saying we are looking for graduate trainees.
Oh.
And one of my friends says, so we have 2 interviews, man, are you coming? I'm like, which one? We have Emirates to one side, which is an airline. I don't know whether we're
Yeah.
allowed to talk about
Of
brands here.
course.
So
Yeah.
an airline and a financial institution to the
Yeah.
other side. I said, let me go for both. So I did an interview at a nice big hotel, short skirt, heels, the entire thing,
Nice.
makeup tied for airline. So I said, cabin crew, maybe
Let's
I'll
go.
travel a bit,
Travel, yeah.
tembea,
Yeah.
kula, come back. Whatever happens, I will take that.
Yeah.
And I said, financial institution. Okay, so I marixed myself.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did the
my
interview. 3 interviews
Tone it
later,
down.
they do the character, whatever,
Yeah.
400 questions, man. I passed. I was like, what?
You passed both, I'm
I
sure.
wanted no, I didn't get the other one.
you didn't get the
Oh,
cabin
you
crew.
didn't get
I
Emirates.
know. And I have fine legs.
Imagine for the
What
short skirt.
is going on? I said, man, with all those looks. And the way
And
I dressed my
travel.
best. Oh my God. So I got a we regret on this side
Yeah.
very casually. So I put our names on the board. I said, if you find your
So,
name, if you
you are
don't
not
find
taken.
You're not
your
there.
name on the list, you're not coming to
Aye.
Dubai. Nonsense. So what did I do? I ended up
In
at a
back.
financial
Oh,
institution.
yeah.
You asked a very important question. Do I like it? I love it.
Mm.
Oh.
I love it. I found passion in it. And so to whoever wants to think, what do you do with what you have on your hands? I'm the best example. I said, so God, this is what I have. I wanted to be cabin crew. And I'm not about to be taken to the UK to do interior design. We don't have that kind of economic muscle. So I either wait it out or I start with what I have.
Yeah.
Getting in there, I just started being outstanding from the beginning.
Mm.
Just be distinct.
Nice.
Cut yourself out from the masses.
Yeah.
From the beginning, be the salmon. You just go pick
Eish.
things that don't make sense. Pick
Yeah.
every project that, and I still have
Volunteer.
it today,
Yeah.
based on the opportunity you have. So you there who's thinking, I really wanted to do this, but this is what I have landed. My message to your advice saying, looking back, I made the right choice. We didn't have resources for me to be doing interior design outside the country. The priorities were different. Cabin crew didn't work. That was going to be another odd passion. Look, banking came. A big institution came and they believed in me. We were only 17 of us. I said, let me go in and make the best of this. Every day I went in and put in my A game, cutting myself apart from the rest. listening more, taking more load, putting in more time, counting the cost, found favor with the seniors, and slowly everybody said, of the 15 we picked, Jane is outstanding. So outstanding became something that defined me really, really early. The diligence to follow through, the discipline to get things done, managing difficult bosses. When everybody says, I can't take this. I'm too fly for this. I managed my shego, managed to do what I need to do, picked him.
Manage your shego.
Manage your shego.
That's a t-shirt.
Yeah, manage your shego. Because people
Frienders.
say men have egos. We as well.
We
As
have
women,
egos.
we have
Egos are
egos.
bad.
You say, I will survive. My friend, you know you need men. But you say, I will survive crying, calling all of us there. We drink bad tea for long, watching you sulking, saying you will survive and you don't need men and men are snails. No. Kill your shego. Forgive, heal, go back and date better. Don't pick frogs along the way. What was that about again?
We have switched.
What are we talking
It's
about?
related, I
It's
promise.
It's
related. I
related.
know.
No, you guess it.
So
You're
what
talking
are we
about
talking
you
We
were
were talking about
outstanding.
career.
You were
and
outstanding.
how
Be
you- the fact
outstanding,
that you are,
exactly.
yeah.
So tough bosses, and I can do without this. No,
Yeah.
you cannot. You have bad manners.
it
That line manager is trying to kill that nonsense out of your head. You're just proud and you're walking out of it. So of the 17 of us, only 8 of us finished. And we are all in
Whoa.
C-suite positions today.
Hey.
Wow.
Because the rest
Awesome.
could not handle that thingy.
dramas.
Actually, I think I'd have been those
They
other.
could not.
I'd have been
And they
Buko.
didn't.
Like, this is not for me. I'm not feeling
I mean,
it.
excuse
It
me.
doesn't define me.
Yeah, why are you talking to me like that?
Yeah.
Who does that guy think? My friend.
It happens.
There are things that you've grown up with
Yeah.
that cannot take you far. So
Mm.
it will take another person to possibly irritate you a bit, pluck it out
For growth.
for you to grow.
That's so,
So
true.
that's what
your
worked
time.
for me. Do time, put in diligence, be humble enough to cut your nonsense, and just be distinct from the beginning.
Jane,
I don't need this.
must you,
I don't need this.
in your opinion, must you love your job?
That's a
It
good
helps
question.
if you do.
Yeah.
It helps if you do. I say that because I'm privileged to be a parent. Had I not been a parent, I would have actually said, if you don't love it, dump it. So there's something, I don't know whether the 24-year-olds of our audience is there yet. But the minute children came into my space, I happened to be a very early parent to a child that I did not biologically bear. So the sacrifice that, man, this thing is crying. I mean, and I have work tomorrow. I mean, you're so mean. Why did you do that? I mean, shut up. I have a board meeting tomorrow. So I
Yeah.
realized that it's not really fun sometimes, but there's something that draws, how can I say it? Like, there's another thing that keeps you at ease beyond what you like or what you don't like, because it becomes almost like a life of sacrifice. So what's the prize?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's you and your time. Sometimes it is resources. Sometimes it's just, how do we navigate this stage? Then I'll be like later. I say that because I also have friends from the Asian community who are in arranged marriages. So they go in and like, man, hey, this Patel guy. And then they say, man, it has to work.
Yeah. There's no
So
option.
they
This
love
Patel guy.
later, but the entry program is like, my
Make it
God,
work.
Yeah.
what
I
did
love
they
that.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of my close friends now thinks that I'm very intentional and deliberate. Actually, many of my friends say so, because I then think there's a silver lining to everything. So yes, you don't have to love your job.
Okay.
It can grow. And particularly when you start finding interesting things there or interesting people that you work with.
Yeah.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah, so it helps. So you can come into, I can see some
You're
people in the
venting
audience rolling
together.
their eyes like, sipendi hiyo kitu.
Our guys
No,
are Gen Z,
it
so
grows. It grows. It's just give it a bit of time. Look at the big picture and look at what you need to offload. Sometimes that thing you're clinging to is what is hindering you from doing better. Yeah, so let go of the... Sometimes loving it is not important.
And
You know,
before
there's-
Jules goes, just what I was saying earlier
Mhm.
about the first two buckets, like what you know and what you can do. If initially you're not feeling it, but it is teaching you something
Mm.
and you're gaining a skill, you can endure as you then go to the next thing.
Yeah.
Like knowing what
It's
you're
a process.
focusing on and what
Mm.
you're getting.
It's the
But
process.
anyway, loving helps.
Loving helps.
Loving helps,
It
yeah.
helps
It's
because
like
then
an
you would
arranged
you would
marriage.
It's
stand
so
a bit
easy.
more
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Because like you said something that really resonated with me that I've always a little bit questioned about myself,
Mhm.
which is I've found myself, and I think even Jules has given me that feedback once, which is, hey Sharon, you really know how to work with difficult people.
Interesting.
And like look here, I'm always like, is that a good thing, bad thing? Like, because it's like, why am I that person? But really and truly, those difficult bosses are the ones who taught me the most. Because as you said, they're difficult because of course some of them were just natural. It was just toxic. There's no
Narcissistic.
just
I mean,
narcissistic.
Yeah.
Just some of them, it's just not okay.
They're cuckoos.
But
They don't want you to thrive.
I think at the core of what I felt you were saying is they call you out and they're sharpening the
Rough edges.
rough edges, which you know at that age you don't think you have rough edges. You think you know everything. You think, especially if you've been selected and you're the top 8 and whatever, you have such a big shego. So it takes a certain kind of boss to really call that out. And I've really resonated with that because I've had my fair share of Kali bosses that I'm just like, whoa.
But Sharon, there's some nasty bosses.
Yeah, and I think some
Yeah.
of these things are also, is it situational? What do you say?
Mhm.
Like, because if I had that advice at 24 of you don't have to love it.
Mm.
I get it. But for me, the desire to be creatively involved in the work that I'm doing, and I don't mean you have to have like color pencils in the job. That's not what I'm saying.
Not Kalapins.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get, I was
Like,
just like, work cannot be coming to write the email. Like, this is
Yeah.
the work.
There's
Yeah.
no.
I
It has
wanted
to
to
be
be
more-
more involved. Like, okay, so I was
Stimulating.
yes, I was
Yeah.
I was in a company that was manufacturing beverages. I was like, okay, so I wanted more, not just
True.
task, tick the task.
Conveyor belt.
And that was so ingrained in me at that time that it completely choked out the suck it up and
Oh,
and I
yeah.
sucked it up for like what is it 4 years.
That's a
Oh, you
lot.
And it got to
tried.
a point I was so miserable.
Okay.
Hadi I was like, okay, fine. If I actually become an artist, I can grow maize
I
and I will
know.
eat that maize.
I know.
Like imagine that's how desperate I'd got. This is not a joke.
you're-
This is a
Yeah.
conversation. I'm like,
like maize.
like, okay, I can actually grow my own food. Like if starvation, I'll become the starving artist. So I started now to
Yeah.
talk myself into
Oh,
being okay with becoming a starving artist.
wow.
You know, to get
so you
to
get
get
your
out.
joy.
yes, because I was just like, how comes there are people who go to work and they're happy to go to work while me I am on the extreme end. For me there was so I don't know. I don't know what I would give advice to Julia
That's-
at that
yeah.
At that
point.
time.
I wouldn't say
you did
quit, but I also
good.
wouldn't say stay. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
It's a balance.
yeah.
Jules, can I, if I was to reverse the question you asked Jane, do you love your job now?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic.
You see, but there are a lot of challenges in this space we are in. There's a lot of anxiety. There are a lot of challenges, but I am okay with this hard.
Yeah, it makes
This is the hard
sense.
you choose.
Yes,
you
like
think-
I'm okay with. I'm like okay. We'll. If somebody tells me we are going back to
You're like,
Email.
Jules,
But there's a
wait,
twist.
just a second.
where
Do you think there's something you learned in the 4 years that helps you now?
everything that I learned in
Yeah.
those, it was even 4 years. It was more, but everything I learned in corporate
Your
contributes to the
Love it.
discipline and the grit that I have today. And even the way I'm able to negotiate for contracts. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
cannot scare me with
Nice.
4 million, you know. I'm just like, so what? We're pitching in front of who?
Big
Fine.
ones. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yes, I'm still a human. I'll get nervous, but there are things that if I just went from school to
content
Business
creation.
might not have
I
had.
knowing my personality, I'd be like, let's do what the client says. Let's not change it. I'd be like, no, I can give pushback, you know. So yes, everything I have learned,
Love it.
and even just sticking it out, like just sticking it out
Great. Yeah.
contributes. So I cannot take away from my experience. That's why sometimes some of these questions of would you do anything different, it's always a need for me because I'm like, but everything has kind of made sense.
Makes sense
Yeah.
in the
Did I
end.
like it?
With hindsight.
No.
Yeah.
But then I cannot imagine the life of the alternative life. Yeah.
Okay.
That's an interesting twist, though. I somehow can relate with what she's talking about.
Mm.
So it depends on how you learn. So I don't know, but I pick that maybe you are on the kind of learning scale that had to be linear, like you could only go up this one sector.
Mm-hmm.
So how I've managed to grow is just being a little bit spirally. Like I can go a bit here, I moved to this other department. So that's the only other way then I started finding joy. Because had I stayed linear on just one side of banking,
Oh, I see.
man,
Yeah,
that
you'd
was
be
crazy.
bored. You'd be bored.
That is so
True.
routine, and it's the
Yeah.
same system. It's
like
present. It's
mundane.
balanced.
Yeah.
It's not as dynamic.
Yeah.
So I ended up wanting to move units, do what that guy does, and then started doing leadership. So
Oh, I
leadership
was
becomes a totally
nice.
different
Please
spider
touch on that.
altogether.
Please
Yeah.
touch on that.
Because you're dealing with everybody in this room, the 12 of us.
Mm.
Everyone, you hired a technician.
You know, not to interrupt, when we were pre-interviewing, you said something that has literally changed my life because it's something I was struggling with. I didn't even know how inherently I was struggling with it. And you said, because I was like, oh, could you talk about leadership, when you come? And you were like, yeah, Sharon, leadership is just about delivering through people.
True.
And I was like, that's like there was like a light bulb that went on
Nice.
because I've never really understood what that means. And that idea of delivering through people, just I can't even describe how much
It's
it
not being the boss
resonated.
of people.
Yeah.
It's
It's
delivering
it's
through
delivering
so
people.
you
through
have to
people.
inspire them,
Mm.
support them. It's not that you're this person over here
At the
and
top.
yeah, it's like,
Mhm.
and I was like, wow, mind was blown. So please
Yeah.
touch on
So
all the things.
back to what Jules was saying. So it's very likely like the learning style or the environment she was given, because she's talking about just emailing, send, check, submit,
Yeah.
add, check. So those can be very mundane and boring. So moving around could be a solution for anybody who's listening or watching, that you can actually look for joy in getting different competencies around the environment you are in.
Yeah.
Maybe you might not move entirely, but you can ask for short-term assignments.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 to 5, you move from your desk, you go help out at another department, or do combine activities together where you'll build competencies. If you don't like it, don't go back again. But if you like it, start making deeper connections with the unit head
Nice,
and the people in that unit. So when there's a vacancy, they then consider you as the next best candidate to come on and fill it. Then you grow a little more dynamic and diverse in the competencies you build around that work environment.
Yeah.
And you can move around the institution, just check, what do you guys do? What do you guys do? Can I come for a short-term assignment for 3 months, or every 4 o'clock to 5, or when you're away, can I sit in for you? Can I join you for this meeting or this discussion?
Yeah.
In there, you find places that you'd find joy. If you don't like it all together, my friend, come out. Let's
Then
go
come
do a
out.
salon.
Yes.
Let's go
Don't
do a
force
salon.
issues.
Yeah. A salon.
I mean, go diverse.
Yeah,
Let's leave it
whatever.
and go.
Yes.
rear
So
pigs
basically, do what you can to
find
to
joy.
find joy.
Find
And
joy.
if that still is not working,
Find your joy outside.
then find your joy outside. Because I also don't want to. I can't imagine having stayed just because I'm like, I must find this joy. I must, because me, I
Joy
tried.
in there.
I tried, and I was like, I just wanted something that would just set my soul a little bit on fire.
Yeah.
You didn't find
And
any.
the sitting in that office job, or those office jobs, I think I was good. I was okay. Like I was comfortable, but I was just, I hated how when I would see other creative works and I'm like, oh, if it was me, I would have done this. It was me. And I'm just like, let me just go and do the thing.
I know.
You know, and also I didn't actually leave and then start.
I was about to ask that.
I did them at the same time
Parallel. Oh,
for
that's
a
nice.
long
Interesting.
time. I
Yeah.
just got into full creation 3 years ago. So 3 or 4 years ago,
2019.
2020,
Yeah.
the year of 2020, that
Yeah.
year of the
Ooh.
pandemic,
Yeah.
is when I was like, you know what?
I'm done.
There's no other time like now. I still don't have kids because I was like, but what if I get pregnant and have kids and somebody's going to depend on me? But what if I get married? I'm like, okay, so now it's not happening.
Live a life.
I just said, take the wheel.
I know.
Let's
Figure it
go.
out.
And but I had now done everything. You understand?
Yes.
I don't think you should. I would never, ever
Up and quit.
encourage somebody to leave
To find joy.
security to go and chase sunsets because the faith.
To chase
Yeah. Like just do. I wouldn't
Yeah.
because the peace of mind that comes with
that
being
security.
able to sustain your living is very important
It's true.
to that happiness that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Love
So
it.
Sharon asked something interesting. So how did I then in our pre-interview why leadership came up. So we were looking at transitory learning and how do you move around. And I think to Jules' comment, we've then seen how you can actually build competencies just doing short-term assignments and then picking roles. So one of the things then that of the 22 years that I have been in banking, 7 I was an individual contributor. So where I worked by myself.
Yeah.
Of the rest, 2/3 have been in leadership. Mainly because I built those competencies. So whenever a unit head was required, I was then the best. Then the institutions that I was privileged to work in and for invested training, areas of improvement until I became then a leader. Now, leadership is character development 101. Because you go to HR
you're
and say
shouting.
you want a technician.
Mhm.
And they tell you, we have the following CVs, we will interview. We will give you the final shortlist. They give you 3 guys who you listen to, and you're like, wow, I think I want Emmanuel. And Emmanuel comes on board, same sharp guy who works well under pressure with minimum supervision.
As always.
It does, eh? Jules, that makes sense. Eh? They
Yes.
always say
Do you
that.
work well with
Always.
others? Do you work well under
As a
pressure?
team
Always.
player,
As a team
knows
player?
works
minimum
well
supervision.
under pressure
Yes.
with
Can
minimum
multitask.
supervision.
Yes.
Multitasking, that competency doesn't exist, by the way.
Yeah.
I struggle with it. You can't. We like lying that we can.
It's
Just,
actually not
it
humanly possible.
compromises the quality,
quality
of
of
your
the output,
interaction. I
yeah.
don't like it. I don't want to learn it. I'm present or
You're
I'm
fine.
not there. Anyways, so Emmanuel lands. All you wanted is a technician. Emmanuel comes. He's handling a relationship. He loves cats.
It's true.
He's not a morning person. He's really good at what he does. He loves it. He plays soccer. And he's the firstborn son
He has
in their
dependents.
family, and their father died.
Krisha.
That's Emmanuel for you.
It doesn't just come with a CV.
He's not a pair
Yeah.
of hands
It's
who's a
true.
technician.
It's
yes.
true.
He's a person.
Yeah.
And what you hired him for was technical work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But he's complete. So
Yeah.
how do you manage to work with Emmanuel, considering his love for soccer, his love for cats, he's almost like a
Responsibility.
father.
Yeah.
He has a family of his own. He's managing a wife who probably drinks
Wow.
and
Where
loves his
have
job.
you-
What
I
am I
know.
saying? What am I saying? You got a trunk,
Yeah.
but can deliver really, really well for you.
Mhm.
What do you do as a person? Bump him off and look for a cleaner Emmanuel?
No.
Maybe not. But he does his job, and he's not a morning person. You are a morning person.
Yeah.
And he gets the job done, Jules. This guy delivers A1. Every time he sends his work, your
It's
boss
on
is like,
point.
wow, wow. So you need him. He's dependable, just not a morning person like you. So he starts working on you, and you start understanding them more. And what I can say about it to anybody who's in leadership, aspiring to be in leadership, you didn't hire a pair of hands. Take time to know the people in your team.
Mm.
And don't generalize them. Make it as personal as possible. Establish a genuine connection, because human beings, adults, even children, even pets, can tell genuine from fake. Build it, win their trust. It might mean they will get to know you. You'll show a little bit of vulnerability here and there.
Yeah.
Be safe with yourself. Allow them in so that they can work for you. I'm sitting here. I have a huge team working for me, and I'm sure they're doing a fantastic job. I don't even need to check. I'll check yes at 4. But I'm so sure they're giving it their sweat, blood, and tears because they are working for Jane.
You sound like an amazing person to work for. Like I'm just like, are you
I get
hiring?
that a lot until the day
Are you
I
taking
become
mentees? Are you
occupied.
taking CVs?
Sharon, do not be deceived. We've been worked on. And then we also have a raw side. Because also your line manager or your boss or your unit head is human.
Yeah.
I also have a
true,
side.
yeah.
I mean, you're irritating me with your coming late. You're irritating the entire team, because every time we go, you're telling us about your late father. You understand? So what am I trying to say? You're also letting us into places that we want to come with you, but should we? So there are those days also as a leader, you then put that other card, the mercy card. I struggle with empathy, like it's my strength and weakness at the same time. So I have to always put it aside and like, no, let me be hard on this one. It's Bologna's stories.
By
So
the
you
way,
put it aside.
because
You have to push because
Yeah.
they can manipulate.
Oh
Yeah,
my God,
They
yes.
for
can
sure.
manipulate you.
And
So
the rest of the team
they
will end up
observe
feeling
it.
bad.
No, they
Because they'll be
actually
like, you
observe
cut
it.
this one a lot of slack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to put those boundaries, very big boulders, gabions, if you like. I picked it from that other audio,
Episode.
gabions.
Yeah.
Put a few gabions and just say, my friend, the way you're going, there'll be body parts flying around, and there'll be your body parts.
Jane, I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna jump in and now because we are short of time. I've been given the time code a long time
Oh,
ago.
really?
Yeah, I just realized I'm the one who was given,
Yeah, I can't
and
see.
Sharon can't
Oh,
see.
sorry,
So,
Vanessa.
I'm so drawn.
I want us to, yeah, just hold it. I want us to just quickly, remember the conversation is around retrospectively. What are those things you
Yeah.
wish you knew in line with your career? We are trying to jump on the spirit of Africa's ambitious. We have young people who are watching and they're looking at you as women who have established themselves in the corporate world. Without deep explanation, you said networking. Can you give us maybe one or two things you wish you knew or something you would tell your younger self that the people who are watching can adopt into their lives?
So I go first.
Yes, please.
Jane said this, but I'll just reemphasize hard work. Hard work beats talent. And especially when you're younger and you have the time and not too many responsibilities, just take on extra work, stand out to the extent possible, deliver good work. Take on roles, even when you're not sure. And there's something, especially with women, young women, where we feel like I need to know 100% before I'm able to volunteer. Don't wait to know everything. Volunteer, do it afraid, learn on the job. So if there's one thing I can say, like, let this stick with you, work hard, do the work, whether you're a morning person or not. Like the time that you do deliver, make sure you deliver good work such that your name is mentioned in spaces that you're not in, because that will open up for you the opportunities to try out more things and be exposed to even more things. I think that's one of the biggest for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Jane? Anything looking back that you wish you knew then that you know now?
I'll say three things. Number one, it's never that serious. Honestly, it's just never that serious.
Really?
Yeah, relax.
Okay.
Be yourself with skill.
Yeah.
Just be you. So the first thing, then know yourself, all your bad things, all your good things, and what those good things do to other people in the work environment, and whatever the environment you want to measure. And your bad side, what does it do to people around you, both at work and outside? Once you know how your emotional intelligence and the map they're in, it's never that serious. Pace yourself, be you. It's just easier. There are no regrets. Like I personally have no regrets.
I have a couple. I have a couple. I used to say I don't have regrets, but now I'm just like, I wish that one day I didn't do this.
What about you,
Sharon?
Jules? Oh, okay.
Yeah, anything. Okay, I can go.
Yeah, do your final ones, yeah.
Yeah, mine are just always around the same thing. I wish I listened to, wish I listened to my gut more. Community, finding like-minded people. And people who have gone ahead of you. I wish that's something I took time in building. And what do you call this thing where like stop looking?
Tunnel vision.
Yes. Stop comparing so much what they're doing. So should I, just really, really trust that you're on your own path. And I think the only way you can do that is if you really learn how to build your connection with the guy who gave you the skills, or she. We don't know who they are. I'm talking about God.
Yeah.
Intuition, those inner voices. That's the voice. That's. I'm not. I keep saying this. I'm not the spiri person here, but when it comes to creativity, career, what do? I just feel like there's always a guiding force. So the more you learn how to listen to that, it won't bother you what Judith is doing. Jane amefika wapi? How comes Sharon has done this? Just having that faith in yourself. I wish I knew that then if I could go to 23-year-old Jules, I'd be like, oh, and relax, babe. Chill, it's okay. Not everything is urgent. And I'm also telling my 36-year-old self, Tulia, babe, like, not everything is a crisis. There's no electricity. Oh my God, we have a generator. It's okay. It's okay. Let things, imagine, things will fall into place.
Yeah.
We
That's a
really
nice
do need to,
one.
that's something I have to keep reminding myself. Hey, and another thing, whatever you learn today doesn't mean that the lesson is learned. You can go back and relearn that lesson, and it doesn't mean you're a failure.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I already went through this. It's just same script, different cast. Allow it to happen. Yeah.
Oh,
I think on that
nice.
note, guys,
Shall
let's
we-
just wrap.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
One last one.
Okay.
Because that one
We need a part
that
2
one bothers
clearly.
me.
Okay.
Just like when you're young,
Yeah.
invest in understanding finances.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Just take that time.
of
Let me tell you. First, us when we were earning money, it
Oh my
was
God.
YOLO. It was as
I didn't even know where my money was going.
Thank you. Yeah. And honestly, there's like different things. By the way, spoil yourself. It is fine. Patia mwili pole. That's what we keep saying. Just giving your body thanks for the work that you have done, but also invest, because when you're young, the power of compounding is
Oh
incredible.
my God. How
It's
can you just say that at the end?
incredible.
There's so much to
That one is a whole
unpack.
topic to unpack. Maybe
Promise
the
us you guys will
3.
come back. Can
Oh,
we do
yeah.
another?
Three,
Yeah,
there is a
because I
part
think
three.
this is
That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another
But
2
that's
hours.
a big one. That's a big one. Just
Yeah.
Financial
even if it's your
management is big.
random 2K, your random 3K, put it aside.
Mm.
Forget about it. You'll be surprised what it does for you in a few years.
Interesting.
Guys,
Yeah.
like honestly, we can go on for hours, but I can see our production team are all like, hello,
Bombastic
Beryl
side
is about to
eye.
kill
I don't
us.
even want to make eye
Don't look.
contact.
Just look at the lights. Focus on the lights,
I
Julia.
don't like
Don't look at
that. I'm not
Beryl.
looking here.
Guys,
Actually,
allow us
that
to
makes
say
sense.
goodbye. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming. Guys, please leave your comments down below. Let us know some of the lessons you've learned in corporate or questions that you have for next time, because you guys need to come back. Clearly, we've not even scratched the surface with this conversation. If you've been here long enough, or if you've come this far, please remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and remember, as always, this has been It's Related.
I promise.
Hi guys, Sharon here with a special voice note from us and our sponsors over at Fingo. So they wanted us to let you know that you can now earn up to 15% annually on your savings. Yup, 15%. So Fingo just released access to their interest earning savings account using money markets in partnership with Sanlam Investments. But that's not all, guys. They've also launched their brand new virtual Visa cards. So if you want to shop online safely or you need to send money to your friends, you can literally do it for free with Fingo. And guys, it only takes 5 minutes to sign up. So these are my 2 asks for you guys. Number 1, please subscribe to this channel. And number 2, download Fingo today and start making your money work for you. Okay, that's all from me. Catch you next time on the next episode of It's Related. I promise. Bye.